Picture this. You are at dinner with friends, the room is loud, and someone across the table says something funny. Everyone laughs. You laugh too, half a second late, because you did not actually catch the joke. You just nodded along. Sound familiar? Now picture a completely different scene. Someone gets a diabetes diagnosis. The doctor talks about blood sugar, about watching the eyes, the kidneys, the nerves in the feet. Nobody mentions the ears. Almost nobody ever does. Here is a question worth sitting with for a second. If diabetes can quietly damage blood vessels in your eyes and your kidneys, tiny, delicate, easy to overlook, why would your ears be any different? Diabetes is already one of the biggest health stories of our time. More than 537 million adults live with it worldwide right now, and that number is projected to climb to 783 million by 2045. It is one of those conditions everyone has heard of, but very few people can name its full list of complications. Ask someone what diabetes does to the body long term, and you will usually get the same three answers. It can damage your eyes, sometimes leading to blindness. It can damage your kidneys, sometimes leading to dialysis. It can damage your nerves, especially in the feet, sometimes leading to amputation. Eyes, kidneys, nerves. That is the list most people carry in their head. But here is the thing about that list. It was built one discovery at a time. Doctors did not always know diabetes caused eye damage. They did not always know it caused kidney damage. Each one had to be studied, confirmed, and eventually folded into routine care, with regular checkups built around catching it early. So what if the list is not actually finished? Hearing loss is one of those conditions that hides in plain sight. It rarely announces itself. Nobody wakes up one morning suddenly unable to hear. It creeps in over months and years, one missed word at a time, until the missed words start to outnumber the ones you catch. Think about how hearing loss actually shows up in real life. It is not usually silence. It is effort. It is leaning in during a conversation. It is turning the television up just one notch more than everyone else in the room needs. It is asking someone to repeat themselves, then pretending you understood the second time too, because asking a third time feels embarrassing. And it is not just an inconvenience. Straining to hear, all day, every day, is exhausting in a way that is hard to explain unless you have lived it. People with unmanaged hearing loss tend to withdraw from conversations. They go to fewer social events. Over years, that isolation has been linked to loneliness and to faster cognitive decline. This is not a small, cosmetic issue tucked away at the bottom of a list. It reshapes how people live. So why would blood sugar have anything to do with any of this? Here is where it gets interesting. Deep inside your ear, past the eardrum, sits a structure called the cochlea. It is small, spiral-shaped, and absolutely packed with delicate hair cells and nerve endings that translate sound waves into the electrical signals your brain reads as speech, music, laughter. All of that delicate machinery needs a constant, reliable blood supply to survive. And that is exactly the kind of tissue that high blood sugar, sustained over years, is known to attack. The same slow process that damages the tiny blood vessels behind your eyes and inside your kidneys does not stop conveniently at the ear. There is no biological reason it should. Researchers have actually suspected a connection between diabetes and hearing for a long time. But suspecting something and actually measuring it carefully across a large enough group of people are two very different things. For years, the studies on this topic were scattered. Some found a strong link. Some found almost nothing. Small samples, different countries, different ways of even defining what counts as hearing loss in the first place. which raises the real question at the center of this video. If you pooled every solid study on diabetes and hearing loss that science has produced, what would the real picture actually look like? Would the connection hold up? And if it does, who is actually most at risk? A team of researchers set out to answer exactly that. Not with a single new study on a few hundred people, but by gathering up everything solid that had already been published and combining it into one large, careful analysis. The kind of project that takes months of unglamorous work just to arrive at a number you can actually trust. They searched 5 major scientific databases, going back 25 years, and they registered exactly how they planned to search before they started, so nobody could accuse them later of cherry-picking results that fit a preferred conclusion. Out of 3,490 studies they screened, only 29 were rigorous enough to make the final cut. And what those 29 studies showed, once combined, is hard to dismiss as a coincidence. Looking at 5,221 people across those studies, the pooled rate of moderate to severe hearing loss, the kind where following a normal conversation genuinely becomes a struggle, came out to 24%. Roughly 1 in every 4 adults with diabetes. Comparing people with diabetes directly against people without it, across 11 separate studies, the odds of having significant hearing loss were 41 times higher in the diabetes group. Not a small statistical blip. A clear, consistent, more than doubled risk, showing up again and again across different countries and different research teams. Now here is the part that surprised even the researchers and challenges the assumption most people would make without thinking twice about it. You would probably guess that this kind of hearing damage mostly shows up in older diabetic adults as one more symptom layered on top of ordinary aging. But the data tells a different story. In adults under 60, diabetes tripled the odds of hearing loss. In adults 60 and older, the link was weaker and did not even reach statistical significance. Read that again. The risk was highest in younger people, not older ones. If diabetes-related hearing loss were simply age-related decline arriving a little early, you would expect the opposite pattern. Instead, it looks like diabetes itself is actively accelerating damage, showing up well before old age would explain it on its own. There was another pattern that stood out just as sharply, this time tied to geography and income rather than age. In lower and middle income countries, diabetes was linked to a 51 times higher risk of hearing loss. In higher income countries, the increase was smaller, 78 times. The researchers point to a combination of likely factors: less consistent access to blood sugar control, more exposure to loud environments at work, and less access to hearing specialists and audiometric testing in general. Even the duration of diabetes mattered, and mattered fast. People who had lived with diabetes for less than 10 years already showed a 68 times higher risk of hearing loss. This was not something that only appeared after decades of living with the disease. The clock, it seems, starts ticking early. So what is actually happening physically inside the ear? The leading explanation ties back to those same tiny blood vessels and nerves we mentioned earlier. Chronic high blood sugar is already well documented to damage small blood vessels through a process called microangiopathy, along with oxidative stress and nerve damage. Researchers believe this same combination reaches the cochlea, gradually injuring the delicate sensory structures that convert sound into signals your brain can use. Over time, that produces what is known as sensorineural hearing loss, the type tied to inner ear damage rather than a blockage in the outer or middle ear. Now, it is worth being honest about what this research can and cannot prove, because good science always includes its own limitations. Almost all of the studies included were observational, meaning they measured people's hearing at a single point in time, rather than following the same individuals for years to watch changes unfold. That makes it difficult to prove, with total certainty, that diabetes directly causes hearing loss, rather than the two simply tending to occur together for other shared reasons. The researchers also detected some signs of publication bias, meaning smaller studies with disappointing or negative results may be underrepresented in the scientific literature, though their main findings held up when they tested for that possibility directly. And when it came to prediabetes specifically, the stage before full-blown diabetes, there was only a single study to draw from, nowhere near enough data to draw firm conclusions about that earlier window. So what should you actually take away from all of this? The researchers are not suggesting people panic about their hearing. What they are suggesting is something far simpler, and honestly, a little overdue. Hearing checks belong in routine diabetes care, the same way eye exams and kidney function tests already do. A basic hearing test is cheap, quick, and painless, and yet it is almost never part of a standard diabetes checkup. If diabetes runs in your family, or in your own life, this is worth remembering the next time you catch yourself turning up the volume just one notch higher than you used to, or asking someone to repeat themselves for the second time in one conversation. It might be nothing, but now you know it might also be something worth mentioning to a doctor, well before it becomes impossible to ignore. This video was based directly on the peer-reviewed study, Hearing Loss in Adults with Diabetes and Prediabetes, a systematic review and meta-analysis by Maywish Nisar and colleagues, published in Diabetes/Metabolism Research and Reviews in 2026, openly accessible for anyone who wants to read the full analysis themselves.